What's up, guys? Manic.mercurian here, and I'm a little buzzed today. Just got back from Walmart, and I thought, what better way to spend the afternoon than ranking the signs? I don't know why it took me so long to think of this idea to make like a tier list and then rank the signs. I feel like there's so many different possibilities with this. So, if you have any suggestions, I'm definitely open to any kind of ideas that you might have. On regard to, how would you like me to rank the signs? I would be so curious to hear that because this was just my idea. I don't know. I'm kind of lame with thinking of ideas. This is the first thing I could think of. But anyway, getting on to the video here. So today I'm gonna rank the signs from most difficult to least difficult, or easiest to most difficult, whatever. And by that I mean I'm not talking about like which signs are the hardest to deal with, like which are the most annoying or belligerent. That would be subjective, and I'm not opposed to making subjective videos with subjective opinions. I could definitely do that. However, that's not what this video is. This video is more objective in nature, I would say, and I'm more specifically referring to which sun signs are the most difficult to be. Now, if you're thinking, what? I thought all sun signs have their own unique strengths and weaknesses. They have their own, different kind of story. They're all equal but different. That's true. I mean, all of that is kind of true. However, like each sign itself is equal and equal, like easiness or difficulty, I think, sort of. But when we put a planet in there, like if we put the sun in there for your sun sign, then that's where you get certain signs that the sun is much easier to have as a placement for yourself, or much harder. And I'll show you what I mean as we kind of get into this here. But yeah, I think I've kind of set things up. So let's get into it. This is gonna be interesting. So you may notice that Pisces is like in a weird place. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. So I put the glyphs here. For those of you who aren't familiar with the sign glyphs, I thought about that and I was thinking, what better way to practice that than to hear me talk about the signs and use the glyphs? So I'm hoping you can bear with me if you're not familiar with the glyphs, and maybe this will be kind of like an exercise for you. I'm sorry, but this is an informational channel, so that's kind of my thing here. So I've put the signs in the order that they are typically put in. However, I'm going to start with Pisces just because, to be totally honest, I didn't have room for Pisces in the freaking charts, so that's why it's sort of at a weird position here. So just to avoid confusion, let's start with Pisces. So I'm going to move Pisces over to hard. Yeah. So you Pisces sun signs, you have a hard sun sign. Not the hardest, but it's hard. Why do I think that? So Pisces is a water sun sign. The sun is fire, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. Sun is at home in Leo, fixed fire. Sun is obviously hot. I feel like that kind of symbology is very apparent to us. Sun is hot, sun is warm, sun is fiery. So to put that in a water sign like Pisces, that is kind of strange. Water kind of it puts out the fire rather. Also, Pisces is a winter sign, so the sun is definitely not as it's at its strongest in winter, so to speak. The sun wants to just be like very proud and vibrant and outgoing, and in the moment, and very much more spontaneous, more impulsive. And Pisces can be spontaneous, but it's really more reflective, and it's about integrating. It's about thinking of like really wild kind of abstract ideas and concepts. It's more about intuition and spirituality. The themes that are going on here are just so different from what the sun is kind of typically used to, if that makes sense. And also, a theme that you will see play out here is that the last yin signs in the zodiac, I'm gonna rank more difficult because they just are. The last yin signs. Yin signs are feminine. They're earth and water. They're more receptive. They're more internal, and all that is great. It's just a difficult energy to put the sun in because sun is typically outgoing, transparent. It's yang. It's dominant. It's masculine. It's fiery. So it's just sun is a little bit out of place there. So long story short, Pisces I would say is a difficult sun sign to have, or hard, according to this chart here. Yeah, enough said. Let's move on. Let's start from the beginning now. I don't know if I'll do these in order or if I'll just kind of hop around. I'm actually gonna drink some lemonade real quick. And let's start with Aries now. So from the last sign of the zodiac, now we go to the first sign. Can any of you guess? I'm curious. I know we're not in a class right now. I'm so nerdy, but I'm curious what you would guess Aries to be. Any guesses at all? Okay, well, if you would guess Aries as being the easiest easiest option to be, um, that's where I would put it. And this isn't just my personal opinion. I have reasons. I have reasons for all of this. You should know me. I mean, I don't know if you're new here or if you know me already, but I'm not just talking out of nowhere. I've got reasons to back it up. So, Aries as a sun sign, I put in the easiest category because sun is exalted in Aries. This is like the funnest, easiest, boldest sun sign to be. If any of you are Aries suns or if you know Aries suns, not all of them are outgoing, but I would say the vast majority are outgoing. They're transparent. They come off as confident. They're charismatic. Aries sun signs, I think, are known for taking a lot of selfies. And who can blame them because they're very photogenic? They just like come across the right way, you know? Do they have their own challenges and difficulties? Of course they do. Everyone does, you know? But as far as just their sun sign we're talking about, this is pretty easy stuff we're talking about. You know, they are bold, they're outgoing, they're fiery. These traits are all what the sun is typically about. So that's why the sun is exalted in Aries. This is a classically strong placement. It's strong in the sense of, you know, these people don't have to work to be strong in the themes of ego, identity, self-expression. All these things, they come into the world just naturally being good at, so to speak. Also, Aries is like the cool sign. It really is. And I'm not just saying that. This is really true. Um, whatever placements you have in Aries, that's kind of what you're like cool at. It's like badass. So having your sun there, you come across the right way. You're representing yourself outgoing. Is everybody gonna like you? No, of course not. But you have kind of the best chance of coming across as confident and knowing what you're talking about with Sun and Aries, even if you maybe actually don't. Um, so Aries, easiest category. You got it off easy with this placement. That's a great placement to have if you want something easy. Okay. Let's do Taurus now. So any guesses for Taurus? I feel like Taurus could kind of be in different areas, maybe. But I'm gonna put it here. I've, in case you can't tell, I've actually already decided where I'm gonna place all these because I planned this out because I'm smart like that. So I put Taurus in Aries. I mean Taurus in easy. I'm sorry. Put Taurus under Aries in the easy category. Now I actually had to put a little bit of thought into this one just because Taurus is an earth sign. Sun is typically not at home in earth signs. You know, like I said, Sun is a yang energy. Taurus is yin. However, Taurus is the middle of spring in the northern hemisphere. I am a Western astrologer. I base these things on like seasons, kind of. That's my personal method of doing this. So with that line of thinking, Taurus is the middle of spring. Did I say it was summer? I don't remember what I said, but Taurus is the middle of spring. And during spring, spring is the only season where the sun is gaining energy the entire season, but it also has more energy than it does not. And I'll be more specific. So like there are more hours of sunlight in the day than darkness, but also each and every day of spring there's also increasing sunlight than there is darkness. So that's where any of the spring signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, the sun is going to do fairly good at. And the sun is not, I don't think it does terrible in earth signs. It's kind of, you know, just average in earth. Earth is yin, but it's still kind of physical. It's in the moment. It's not as dreamy as water. So overall, I would say the sun has an easier time in earth signs than it does water, for instance. Um, but yeah, with Taurus being, you know, the first earth sign, the one in the middle of spring where there's lots of sunlight, increasing sunlight. The sun does well here. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty certain about its opinions and its stances. I think it's a fairly straightforward sun sign to be. And on the flip side, it makes it straightforward to deal with Tauruses as well. But that's not what this video is about. Okay. This video is already messed, but I don't care. I'm gonna put it out there. More lemonade. Okay. Um, I want to kind of bounce around. Let's do Aquarius now. Let's kind of just bounce around and go to the end ish. So I'm gonna put Aquarius. I already gave it away. I'll put it in the hardest category. Um, and this also is not my opinion. This is pretty easy to back up. Um, if you know Aquarius sun signs, or if you are one, I don't know if you knew that this is actually one of the most difficult sun signs to be. Sun is in detriment in Aquarius. It's much more at home in Leo. Aquarius opposes Leo. So it's hard to be an Aquarius sun. The sun again represents like your identity, your expression, how you assert yourself. And with Sun in Aquarius, all of that is not apparent, especially early in life. Being an Aquarius sun, you don't really know, how to present yourself, or where do you kind of fit in with things. That's why Aquarius, one of their main themes is like figuring out where they belong in society. They feel so different from other people, and then there's typically a struggle that goes on there with, I'm so different than other people. I know that. So, there's this immediate tendency to think maybe I'm worse than everyone else, or maybe I'm better than everyone else. That's why Aquarius suns can often have an inferiority complex or a superiority complex. They'll go one way or the other when they're a little bit less evolved, when they're still struggling with this. It's only later in life that they typically realize they are different but equal to everyone else. That's the lesson to learn with Aquarius placements. So having that as your sun sign, that is challenging. There are of course a lot of strengths there, but it's a hard sun sign. So, yep, I've said enough about that. Let's move on. Let's kind of bounce around. Let's go to Virgo. Okay, so that kind of perfectly fits every category now. I'm gonna put Virgo in neutral. And this one too is a little bit more ambiguous. I had to think about it a little bit. But, Virgo, it could kind of go either way with the sun. Yes, it is an earth sign, so that's typically not where the sun would go. Um, it's also a mutable sign, and sun is not really used to mutable energies. Sun is fixed. Sun is consistent. It rises every single day. It sets every single day. It's the only planet in astrology that moves 1 degree every day, or very close to 1 degree every day. It's a very consistent amount. So Sun is fixed. That's why it's at home in Leo. And it can do well in some cardinal signs like Aries, but mutable signs that have to do with change and adaptation, that's really not what the sun is about. The sun is about pride. The sun is about identity. These things typically remain fixed, consistent. They're strong. They're not meant to be changing like the wind, or adapting to things. So Virgo being an adaptable, mutable sign, this is a little bit strange for the sun. Virgo is a summer sign though. It is the last sign of summer, so there are more hours of daylight than darkness in Virgo. However, this is the last sign of the zodiac where that is true. Virgo is adapting to and alluding to the beginning of fall that will begin with the sign after, with Libra. So it's, yes, it may have a lot of sunlight at its disposal, but it's the whole point of Virgo is to integrate and to kind of move on to the beginning of fall that will begin very shortly. So I mean, I think it can be difficult for Virgo sometimes. Virgo is such a modest. I almost said mumble. It's a modest, humble sign. Maybe they mumble as a result. But that's typically not what the sun is about. So there's some things going for this. There's some things against it. I'm gonna put it neutral. Honestly, I'm almost thinking it would be a hard sign, but we're just going to put it in neutral. It is a summer sign after all. I think that's the only thing that kind of pushes it into neutral. I don't think everyone notices this or realizes it, but Virgo does, they are familiar with that warm summer energy. They know the energies of Leo and even Cancer, for instance. So I think although Virgos want to prepare for fall and they want to organize and everything, they want to have that like survival mentality, something really beneath them wants to have fun, wants to party, for instance. Um, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I've known a lot of Virgos, and I feel like that's true. Anyway, let's move on. So, let's move on to Capricorn. Okay, where would I put Capricorn? Where do you think I would put it? I don't know. Can you see all these trippy purple lines? I'm not used to this, but I'll get used to it. So I'm gonna put Capricorn in the hard placement next to Pisces. So, oh my god. Um, yeah. So Capricorn, with any placements in Capricorn, there's a theme of challenge. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is always pushing us to be better, to be stronger. Capricorn is the sea goat, which has to do with climbing up from the depths of the bottom of the ocean and then climbing your way all the way to the top of the mountain. That's always difficult. It doesn't matter what placement you put in there, whether it's your Venus and you're doing that with your romantic relationships, or you have your moon there, so you're doing that. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be challenging for whatever placement you have. And for the sun in particular, this is the beginning of winter. A sign that ushers in winter. Do you really think the sun would be super strong there? Probably not. It's a difficult placement to have. Especially initially. All these things, having a challenging sun sign, it doesn't mean that you won't be proud or won't have a strong identity. It just means that you will probably have more work that you'll have to do to get there, if that makes sense. And if you do put in the work to get there, then it's super strong. You've gone through that challenge. That's what Capricorn is all about. That applies to a lesser extent to all these other hard sun signs as well, but especially Capricorn. That's like their main theme, so to speak. So Capricorn, this hardworking Earth sign, this beginning of winter sign, Sun is very challenged there. I don't put it. I don't put Capricorn in the hardest category because Sun is not in detriment or at fall there. There's no like strict astrological, terminology to say that Capricorn is really challenged, if that makes sense. Um, I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm gonna continue. On a different note, let's go to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, where do you think I would put it? I'm gonna put it in the easy category next to Taurus. I almost put this in the too easy, in the easiest category. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Sun is, of course, a fiery energy, as we discussed. Sun does well in Sagittarius. Sun is in joy in the ninth house. Ninth house has parallels to Sagittarius. I would go as far as to say that Sagittarius is in joy, or excuse me, Sun is in joy in Sagittarius. So I would say this is the most fun sign to have, the most fun sun sign to have. Sun is in joy in Sagittarius. It's a super fun sign to have. Um, so this is an easy sun sign for sure. Fiery, outgoing, all those traits that Leo and Aries share as well. I'm sure at this point it's probably obvious where I'm going to put Leo, but it should be kind of obvious. All the fire signs have some kind of connection to the sun. Aries, the sun is exalted. Leo, the sun is in domicile. Sagittarius, I would say the sun is in joy. So these are all very easy signs. But why did I not put Sagittarius in the easiest category? Well, Sagittarius is, it's almost a winter sign. It's the last sign of fall. So it happens right around, the holiday time in the, Western civilization. We have Thanksgiving, and it's right before Christmas. It's this like very holiday celebration type of feeling. That's the essence of Sagittarius, and it comes at an actually very dark time, literally speaking. This is the onset of winter almost. Sagittarius is alluding to winter. It's one of the darkest two signs, Sagittarius and Capricorn, both being the darkest signs of the year with the least amount of sunlight. So that's the only reason why I put the sun or put Sagittarius in not the easiest category, because having Sagittarius sun, yes, you'll be charismatic and outgoing, adventurous and bold. You'll have a strong identity. All of that is, very fitting for a sun sign. But Sagittarius wavers. It's a mutable sign. It's a fire that becomes bold sometimes, but then dwindles down to just sparks sometimes, and then becomes bold and becomes a wildfire again. Sagittarius is always changing. So because of that, it's not so fixed or consistent. It can waver. Sagittariuses are known for having super high expectations. They are so idealistic, and then, of course, they are let down. They realize, what they wanted may not be possible or feasible, and then they become very depressed. So that's why I put them in the easy category. Their depressions are typically very short-lived. They will get back up on their feet and, come out to conquer things once again. But still, because of that kind of roller coaster mentality, I'm going to put them in easy rather than too easy, according to this chart that I'm using. Okay, moving right along. Let's kind of jump around. I want to move to Cancer. I don't know why. I'm just going to pick Cancer. So, Cancer is another sign that is not, the sun is not in domicile, it's not in fall, it's not exalted. There's no special term for Cancer. So I'm going to put it in neutral. So sun in Cancer, this is a water sign. Typically, like I said, sun does not do well in water signs. So, usually I would rank the water signs much lower. Excuse me. However, Cancer is the sign of the summer solstice. It's the one sign that follows the summer solstice. So it's the first sign where there are more hours of daylight than darkness, and it's also the first sign where the hours of sunlight are decreasing. So that's where you get this bittersweet connotation with Cancer. They are so upbeat, so lively. They feel the energies of summer and of celebration. All these things are kind of strong traits for the sun to be in as a sign. But then also that connotation of it's a water sign. It is about endings. It's the first sign where there are decreasing hours of sunlight. So that's where you get this kind of mixed bag, kind of familiar to Virgo, I would say, actually. These yin signs of summer, they do feel the energies of summer. They want to celebrate and have fun and party. But they're also aware that, the party has to end at some point. We have to organize, we have to plan, we have to be resilient and adapt to things. So I think Cancer senses that as well. Cancer can be a little bit melancholy, kind of like Virgo, I would say. So I'm going to put Cancer in neutral with Virgo. Okie dokie. What should I move on to now? Let's move on to Gemini. So Gemini I'm actually also going to put into neutral because Gemini is in spring, and this is also, like Cancer, it's one of the signs with the most hours of daylight. Gemini is just before the spring equinox. So on the one hand, you would think sun would be really strong here because it's one of the signs with the most hours of daylight, and in Gemini the hours of daylight are still increasing. It's still spring. Sun is generally strong in spring signs. Sun also has like the most energy around this time. However, the only thing kind of countering against all of that is that Gemini is an air sign, and air opposes fire. Sun is a fire energy. The air signs oppose that. They are the opposite of that, the antithesis of fire. So where fire signs are so bold and self-actualized, they know their truth, they know how they feel about things. Air signs really don't know all that. All that is kind of up in the air, so to speak, no pun intended. The air signs, everything's kind of detached. They aren't totally sure how to represent themselves. They would rather represent themselves not by representing themselves. They're more curious about just learning about the world. It's almost like they're kind of empty inside. There's no fire on the inside. This emptiness allows them to be detached and to come across many different energies and to learn about the world. They're all intellectual. So there are definitely a lot of pros there. There's some cons, of course, but there's definitely a lot of advantages. I don't think Gemini is a necessarily difficult sign. It's a pretty light and breezy sign. It's so mutable and it's so adaptable, and it lacks structure more so than even most of the mutable signs. So I think with Gemini, assessing how difficult of a sun sign it is, it really depends on what you're combining it with. Some Gemini suns are very hard on themselves. They're very internal, maybe very hesitant to speak out. But some Gemini sun signs have just a great time, super fun, always partying, just saying whatever's on their mind. So it really kind of just depends. So I think Gemini is almost as neutral as you can get with these signs. And I thought it was kind of interesting. Both the Mercury ruled signs are in this neutral category. And actually, going along with that, Mercury is not a benefic nor a malefic. Mercury is neutral because the Mercury signs deal with reality more so than any other signs. They're not looking at the glass half empty, they're not looking at the glass half full. They're looking at the glass for exactly what it is. They're not putting any kind of spin on it. And Cancer is actually kind of in the same boat. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Moon is also neither malefic nor a benefic. Moon is also neutral because the Mercury ruled signs deal with thoughts, the moon ruled sign deals with feelings. Thoughts and feelings are neither positive nor neutral. They're both. They're equal. They're even. They can have a wide range of both positive as well as negative. So it's kind of interesting. Virgo, Cancer, Gemini ended up being in the neutral category. Okay, let's hurry this video along. I'm gonna drink some more lemonade. Let's do Leo. I've already talked about Leo enough. Leo clearly goes in this category. If you know any Leo sun signs, I feel like you'll get where I'm coming from. That's pretty straightforward. um, Leo is the sign of Sun's domicile, as I've stated before. So this is, I think, the most no-brainer. Leo sun signs, they believe they are the best. They really do. They know that. That knowing is beneath every action they take. And my opinion is they are not wrong. We all are the best. We are all unique. We all are special. It's just that Leo sun signs know that. And if you have any other Leo placements, you know that in that area as well. You really do. Like I said, this is true. I don't think it's it is of course very subjective, but I don't think that makes it untrue necessarily. Leo sun signs believe they are the best. They are fixed fire. They don't change themselves for anybody. They say, this is who I am. This is my authentic self. So this is kind of like the purest, maybe strongest sun sign energy you could really have. You could argue maybe Aries would be stronger in some capacities. But Leo sun sign, it's just, this is who I am. I don't care who likes it or who doesn't like it. Of course, Leo sun sign can be a little bit of an attention whore, and we accept them for that. At least I do. But that's what they're about. The sun itself represents Leo. The sun, has so much attention that it gathers. It's the center of the solar system. It also showers its light and attention and energy among everyone else as well. And so does Leo. Leo takes in lots of attention. Leo also disperses that energy. I think Leo actually deserves more thanks. Yes, some of them can be totally narcissistic. But on the more positive side, Leo is a very generous sign as well. They're very generous not only with, gifts or whatever, but also just with their energy, with their light. They're a cheerleader of sorts. They're bringing everyone up. So anyway, that was a little bit of a spiel, but Leo, you guys, you have an easy sun sign to have. Yes. And let's switch gears and move on to Libra. So Libra, where do you think I would put it? I'm going to put it in the hardest category. This is something I think that not everyone always realizes, because Libra, what are you talking about? They have it difficult. They come across so light and breezy. They're super easy. They can be charismatic. They come across so relatable. But Libras have it very difficult. I think Libra is actually the most misunderstood sign of them all. Because they seem so relatable, but there are deep layers there. And having Sun in Libra, Sun is in fall in Libra. Libra is also the first sign of fall in the Northern Hemisphere. That's not a coincidence. This is the first sign in the whole zodiac, where not only is there more darkness than light, but also, in addition to that, they're decreasing hours of daylight every single day from the first day of Libra onward. So this is like the literal fall of the sun. The energy of the sun is, I was going to say in detriment, although technically that's not true, but it's in turmoil, it's falling, it's declining. So all that pride and outgoingness, that enthusiasm, that becomes kind of estranged with Libra. Libra doesn't know how to project itself, just like kind of, some of these other air signs. Libra is sort of empty, but that is the beauty of Libra as well as the struggle. The struggle is Libra feels empty, so it doesn't know its identity, it doesn't know how it feels about things. But the beauty there is that emptiness allows Libra to be so empathetic and to connect to others, to be a bridge, as its glyph suggests. To understand others' point of view. So there are, of course, advantages there for sure. There are advantages to having your sun sign being in detriment or in fall, like with Libra. But overall, is this an easy or hard placement? Yeah, I would say it's definitely a very hard placement having your sun in this sort of debilitated sign. Okay, and then lastly we have Scorpio. Any guesses on where I would put Scorpio? Okay, so I'm going to put Scorpio in the hard category with the other last yin signs. The yin signs being, these are the last three earth and water signs: Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces, in that order. So all these signs are very difficult. Of course, being yin signs, being more internal, more selective, more strategic, these can be good traits, but for having the sun in that sign, that is a little bit of a foreign energy for the sun to be in. All these signs are either in winter, or in the case of Scorpio, this is the middle of fall. So, so just after Libra, second sign of fall, this is a day, or excuse me, this is a season, or the middle of a season of consistent change and sort of death and decline in a way. Scorpio is born and raised in an environment of kind of death and decline, decay, of immense change, and of chaos. You can see this in the natural world in areas that have seasons in the northern hemisphere in the middle of fall, where everything appears to be dying. This is very distressing. But there are some silver linings. You can use that to your advantage. I think people born with Sun in Scorpio are very cunning because they're used to this type of energy. They're beginning their lives when the rest of nature seems to be ending. They're almost at odds with the natural universe. So as a result, they have to be cunning and adaptive and ambitious. They have to be constantly using their intuition and their analytical ability. They have so many different strengths, I think, as a result of all this. So is it potentially pretty cool for someone to have Sun in Scorpio? I think so. They make for some pretty cool, interesting individuals, very talented individuals. But as for just, is this a really easy or hard placement? This is a difficult placement, I would say. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think of this. I don't know if this changes how you look at your own sun sign or looking at other people's sun signs. But yeah, some people have deeper struggles than others. Now, of course, if you're assessing like someone's struggle or whatever, you're gonna have to incorporate all their signs. You're really gonna have to do a full birth chart reading. Which, by the way, if you want one of those, I'm available to do that. You can go to my website, www.manic.mercurian.net, for more information about that. Or you can email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. I will have all that information in the description box below. But anyway, I'm sorry, that was a long plug. But yeah, but like I was saying, you would really need to look at their whole chart to see, some people do have really easy charts and some people have more difficult charts. For instance, if you have a bunch of like domicile and exalted placements, your life is going to be kind of easy. You're going to come across very well understood. People will generally like you. You'll be popular. Are there challenges in that? Yes, of course there are. If everything's just handed to you, there can be a tendency to be a little bit spoiled. I'm not saying all people with domicile and exalted placements are spoiled necessarily, but there is that kind of propensity there, and likewise, having your placements be more challenged, yes, that will be harder, but you'll have very unique, rich opinions. You can have a really interesting take on things, which I find very rewarding. I enjoy associating with really both people of all walks of life, whether it be people with really easy charts or difficult charts. The difficult charts, I have to say, are the more interesting because they're more unique. I will go as far to say that. But of course, you have the placements. If you've got these signs of fire signs or Taurus, they're going to be more relatable in kind of a more conventional mainstream way, and that of course is always very rewarding as well. It's very like natural to come back to you as well. But yeah, let me know what you think of this. Let me know. I want to say again, if you have any other kind of ideas for how can I rank the sun signs, I feel like there's so many possibilities, and it doesn't have to be sun signs. It could be moon signs or whatever it is. I don't care what it is, but ranking the signs, I feel like there's a lot of possibilities there. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you had a little bit of fun with this. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.